Good morning and welcome to your TVC news here in Clarence-Rockland. It's Friday the 29th of January and my name is Thomas Stockting and thank you for joining me as we bring you your latest regional update. In your headlines this week, the local COVID update, schools to reopen in early February. We speak to a local long-term care facility after they received the COVID-19 vaccine. Respecting the rules doesn't mean no fun. A new platform for volunteers in Prescot-Russell, and the tender is out for a new fire training facility. As of this week, all the residents in long-term care facilities in the Eastern Ontario Health Units region have received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. We spoke to Joanne Henrie at the Roger Séguin Centre in Clarence-Creek about how it feels to finally start seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. The Roger Séguin is a francophone facility, so this interview is in French.
Je suis très, très contente qu'on a pu avoir le vaccin. Notre centre, nos résidents ont été vaccinés jeudi dernier. Malheureusement, on n'a pas pu vacciner les employés et les fournisseurs de soins dû à la pénurie ou au manque de vaccins de disponibles. Donc, c'est seulement que les résidents qui ont été vaccinés et quelques employés, un très petit nombre d'employés qui ont pu utiliser des doses qui avaient déjà été mélangées du vaccin et qu'on ne voulait pas gaspiller. Donc, on les a offerts à notre personnel, dont moi, j'ai pris ma dose de vaccin jeudi dernier. Je suis fière de le dire. Et puis, oui, c'est vraiment une lumière qui s'en vient au bout du tunnel avec la venue de ce vaccin.
Et je sais que Mme Boucher a dit qu'il n'y a eu pas de problème du tout, elle n'a pas eu mal, elle n'a pas eu il n'y a rien qui s'est passé, elle a pris, comment on dit en anglais, like a trooper. Donc pour vous, comment vous sentez-vous après? Est-ce qu'il y a eu des effets secondaires? Est-ce que vous avez eu mal au bras? Parlez-nous de l'expérience.
Le seul effet secondaire que j'ai eu, c'est une petite douleur au site d'injection qui est normale. Ça a duré moins de 24 heures. Et puis, à part ça, j'ai eu aucun autre effet secondaire. L'injection comme telle ne fait vraiment pas mal du tout. Ça fait beaucoup moins mal que recevoir le vaccin contre l'influenza. Je ne sais pas pourquoi, c'est une plus petite dose, mais ça fait beaucoup moins mal. C'est le commentaire aussi que les résidents nous ont dit après avoir reçu le vaccin que « Oh mon Dieu, je pensais que ça faisait beaucoup plus mal que ça ». Et puis, je suis fière de dire que j'ai aucun résident à date qui a eu aucun effet secondaire autre que la douleur au bras et au site d'injection avec un petit peu de rougeur. Personne d'autre a eu aucun effet secondaire. Tout le monde va super bien.
Et évidemment, il y a eu des problèmes avec la distribution récemment et vous l'avez vu, vous, Joanne, vous avez reçu le vaccin, mais il y a beaucoup d'employés qui n'ont pas pu le recevoir. Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez de ces problèmes de distribution? Est-ce que ça a affecté le staff ou est-ce qu'ils essayent de regarder the bright side? Pardonnez-moi l'anglicisme.
Oui, c'est certain que les gens essayent de regarder du bon côté. Oui, on a été très, très déçus à cette nouvelle parce que nous, on recevait nos vaccins jeudi matin et puis mercredi, on a su mercredi en fin d'après-midi que c'était seulement que les résidents qui allaient obtenir le vaccin. Donc, tout le travail qu'on avait fait pour s'assurer que tout le monde soit présent, que les gens puissent venir, avoir toutes leurs informations, leur consentement et tout, et tout, et tout. Bon, ben ça avait tombé à l'eau, mais j'ai été très contente par contre que nos résidents puissent être vaccinés. Est-ce qu'on aurait dû vacciner les employés plutôt que les résidents? C'est une question à débattre. Par contre, si on regarde, oui, c'est les employés qui entrent le virus dans les établissements de soins de longue durée parce qu'effectivement, nos résidents ne sortent pas. Mais si on regarde les effets, les risques, après avoir contacté le virus, les risques sont beaucoup plus élevés pour nos résidents qu'ils sont pour nos employés. Donc, c'était peut-être une bonne décision de protéger nos résidents parce qu'eux autres pourraient y passer.
Et est-ce que le BSO, le Bureau de santé de l'Est de l'Ontario, vous a contacté pour vous dire peut-être quand vous allez recevoir la deuxième dose ou quand les restes du personnel du staff vont pouvoir recevoir leur premier?
Non, on n'a pas d'idée encore. J'ai posé la question quand ils étaient ici jeudi pour vacciner nos résidents. On n'a pas d'idée encore quand est-ce que les autres, les employés vont pouvoir recevoir leur vaccin et les fournisseurs de soins. Par contre, ceux qui ont eu la première dose, on devrait être en mesure de recevoir la deuxième dose d'ici 21 à 28 jours. Mais encore là, ce n'est pas confirmé.
Parfait. Et comme vous dites, il y a une lumière à la fin du tunnel maintenant. Le tunnel est très long, mais il y a une petite lumière, on le voit. Mais évidemment, le support de la communauté ne devrait pas s'arrêter. Et
Non.
juste parce qu'il y a un vaccin qui arrive, il y a encore plein de choses que je suis sûr que la communauté peut faire pour les résidents. Donc, quelles sont les choses que la communauté peut faire pour essayer d'encourager et aider les résidents dans ce temps très difficile?
Les gens doivent faire preuve de vigilance. Il ne faut pas baisser les bras. Oui, le vaccin s'en vient. C'est pas tout le monde qui est vacciné. Pour ma part, nos employés, quand ils vont tous avoir reçu le vaccin, on va être obligés encore de porter le masque dans les établissements parce que, bon, on ne sait pas encore le degré de protection du vaccin. Euh, les gens doivent ne pas baisser les bras, rester à la maison tel que demandé, respecter la distanciation. C'est certain que le vaccin s'en vient, mais présentement, il ne faut pas baisser les bras. Il faut vraiment continuer, vraiment rester à la maison. Si vous n'avez pas besoin de sortir, restez à la maison. C'est comme ça que vous allez pouvoir protéger nos employés qui vont protéger nos résidents.
This is just the start of the rollout in the region, though it will be slower than initially expected due to the delays on the manufacturing end. On Wednesday evening, I got the opportunity to speak to Dr. Paul Roumeliotis, the medical officer for the EOHU, about when group living and retirement homes are likely to receive their first dose.
At this point, our directive really is to continue vaccinating first doses for all residents in long-term care and high-risk retirement homes, and then continue with retirement homes after we've done them. So that is the directive that we have at the present moment. That may change in a couple of weeks because of limited supply. So I agree with the approach because this is the most vulnerable populations that we are starting to protect.
Okay, and when there's more availability that comes out, then we'll be looking at going back and vaccinating the staff.
Yes, yes. Initially, the issue was that we were to go into the long-term care homes and vaccinate at once the residents, the staff, and essential visitors. We started doing that, and about 7 or so homes we were able to do that. But at that point in time, Pfizer announced the stoppage of delivery of vaccines, this week, and so we were asked to pivot and change, and then just focus on the residents. And so we're going to have to go back and catch up on the staff that we've missed and the visitors that we've missed. But at least we're moving forward with vaccinating the residents.
Absolutely. And when you're saying just that, I know it's all about distribution and it's all about availability of vaccines across the various companies that are providing them. But do we have any idea right now when the residents, Prescot-Russell, for example, might be receiving theirs?
I'm hoping the sooner the better. However, I do know that we'll be able to have larger numbers by the middle to the end of February, and certainly dosages in the millions across Ontario by March. And so I'm very optimistic that at least we're going to start having enough to be able to open it up to the next phase, probably by March. Or April, but again, that timeline depends on delivery. But on the flip side, on the optimistic side, it also may be pushed earlier if, for example, the 2 other vaccines that are being now considered by Health Canada, which is the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, I'm hearing that they're imminently going to be approved, and we'll have more vaccine earlier. So I'm optimistic. Worst case scenario, it's going to be in the spring. And I can tell you that I was asked this question last year: when do you think vaccine is coming? And I said, you know what? I don't think before April, May, but we got it in January. So at least we're ahead of the game in that regard.
Looking at some local numbers now, in Prescot-Russell there are currently 134 active cases, with the 7-day rolling average down to 54 out of 100,000 people, still unfortunately sitting above the 40 line that would take us back into the red zone. Clarence-Rockland has 30 active cases, bringing the total in the area up to 278 since the start of the pandemic. Last week, there was some confusion in Cumberland as a father and volunteer at the community skate rink was fined for allowing his son to skate on the ice with his hockey stick in hands whilst the father scraped the ice. The fine was rescinded after some clarification of the rules. So remember, you can skate but you can't play hockey with or without a puck, so leave the sticks off the ice. Time on the ice in the winter is a core tradition for Canadians, and it has been for generations. Enjoyment can be found in skating, playing hockey, curling, or even simply maintaining the playing surface. Looking after the ice can be a therapeutic process, and I caught up with Marc Blais, a community volunteer in Cumberland, about how important this rink has been to the local community, especially during these hard times. So Mark, we're down here today at the community ice rink in Cumberland, and it's obviously during this time these kind of areas for outdoor activities are immensely popular. Can you just talk to us specifically about this one and its importance to the Cumberland community?
Well, right here in the heart of Cumberland, the rink was a pretty popular item before COVID. Last year my son used to come out and with his hockey buddies, and this rink was always very, very active. The location's really good, and we have a pretty big community here in Cumberland, and it's just an attraction. We have great boards. It's a nice size. It's almost NHL size, 180 by 66, with the lights, and it's always well maintained. And this year is no exception. It's well maintained. We have great community involvement, lots of volunteers that help me out on a daily basis. And unfortunately with COVID, there's no more hockey players, but still a lot of first-time skaters, an opportunity for the little ones or the old ones to come out and have a free skate without receiving a puck or a stick in the shins. So, you know, things happen for a reason, and I think everybody's getting to enjoy the rink this year.
I'm glad you mentioned that first-time skaters can be small and tall, because I'm definitely one of the the taller side ones. Can you talk to us a little bit about the volunteer aspects and the maintenance that goes into this skate rink here? Have you seen a higher level of volunteer and community participation this year due to the hard times we're going through?
Well, this is my first year taking care of this rink, hopefully not the last, but I don't have a shortage of volunteers. Every day at the closing time, I get everybody that's on the ice a shovel, and I had to get more shovels. We started the season with 6 or 7 shovels. Now I'm up to 10 shovels and 3 brooms. So I like to make sure that the perimeter is well taken care of, broom swept, and you know, it's nice and clean, so that way your boards are well done. And I got hats off to the kids, 17 to 25-year-olds are just phenomenal. And I get them involved. I always ask them at the end of their 15, 20, 30 minutes of shoveling, what they do, what are they studying, and each and every one of them have so much pride in our community, in our rink. They all leave here with a smile and a sense of community pride, I guess you can say, and it's fun to see, because that generation, that 20-year-olds, they've been, you know, the government and the news have been hard on them. You know, they're spreading this. We don't know what they're going to be doing in life, and this, I think we're okay. I think the next generation coming up are pretty good kids.
And looking at these pretty good kids, as you said, there's a lot of work that goes into maintaining, but there's also a lot of work into getting it ready as well. How long did it take for you to actually form the ice and get everything ready for the season?
Well, I raised my hand on December 22nd. My son found out there's nobody that was going to take care of the rink, and I sent a quick email to the community, Cumberland community, and I said, hey, if there's nobody doing it, I'll do it. And that day was the deadline day. So my first phone call was to my father-in-law, who's been making ice since, you know, for the last 50 years. So I called him. He was in charge of the CIH ice for years outdoors. So I said, hey, buddy, we got a job. So he came out and looked at the rink that day. He says, well, now Mother Nature needs to help us. And on December 26th, we put water on the ground with about the same amount of snow that we have today, about 1 centimeter. And I wasn't that confident that we were going to make ice on mud. but we sure did. On December 30th, we were skating and kids were playing hockey. So a lot of long hours from December 26th to the 30th, shoveling snow from outside the rink to onto the rink and watering 3-4 times a day. But Mother Nature helped out, cool nights, and people stayed off the rink. So we were able to skate and play. It was good.
And to touch on it finally, just again, how important is the community to the maintenance, upkeeping and use of this rink here in Cumberland?
Well, this can't be done by just one person. You need help. And, I have every day, whether it's an adult or a child, they're shoveling, they're helping out. Some have even watered for me. So they come out, and I've had a farmer come out with his major John Deere tractor on that big snowstorm. He cleared most of the ice for me. I've had another snow contractor come in at the middle of his shift, in the middle of the night, to help me get rid of six extra inches that I'm gonna have a hard time the next day. So, and these guys are just doing it on their own. They're sending me a quick text or email, say, hey, can we help? So really, when it comes to a big project like this, sometimes you just need one guy to raise his hand and people gather behind him and they help out. And in this case, that's all I did. I raised my hand, and I'm here every day, 4 or 5 times a day, because I love it. And I love to see this beautiful rink, and I love to see the kids skate, but there's no lack of support. And I tend to think that Cumberland might be unique to that, but I think it's a Canadian way. I think that's just the way we are, and there's nothing more Canadian than skating or playing hockey. And in the time of COVID, this is our outlet. This is my outlet.
Fantastic. And Mark, how long do you think this this rink's going to be able to be open until this year? Do you have any ideas?
If you have better connections than I do, hopefully we'll be able to skate through February. But Ottawa's been known to have some pretty funky times in winter with the freezing rain and this and that, but we have a really good base. Some areas I have 5 or 6 inches of ice here, and the last snowstorm or the previous snowstorm helped us out. So we were able to build ice on ice, additional on the snow. We use the snow to raise our level. So depending on Mother Nature, I'm aiming for March, but God only knows.
Well, fantastic, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on the state of the ice. It looks absolutely fantastic, and congratulations to yourself and the whole community for really coming out and providing this moral support and physical support.
Thank you very much. Next time, bring your skates.
So, just a reminder, if you're looking to exercise during this pandemic, you can make your way outside, but make sure you look up your local restrictions first. We spoke to Councillor for Ward 1 Samuel Cardarelli on this subject in our new show titled In the Wards, which will be airing online and through TVC 22's channel in the coming weeks. And just like the rink in Cumberland, community groups, activities, events and even local TV stations could not be run without the generous aid of volunteers. Fortunately for those in the region, there will be a new platform to help out. Whether you're seeking volunteers for your own business or organisation, or you'd like to donate some of your time to helping out, there is a new platform you can sign up to, as Julie Leroux from the Prescot-Russell Community Services told us.
Okay, the new platform is called Volunteers Prescot-Russell, and the main purpose is to connect nonprofit organizations that need volunteers with people who have time and talents to offer and who want to volunteer. So both can go online, register, create their profile, and whenever there's we will match what goes together.
And volunteering is, of course, donating one's time to an organization that does need help. Why are volunteers so important to local communities, especially smaller communities, like the ones you find in Prescott and Russell?
It's vital to communities. Volunteers are vital. They're the heart and soul of a community. Without volunteers, there's no community television. There's no festivals and events. There's very little social services. There's no community services. There's no papatte roulante. There's no food bank. There isn't much going on if there's no volunteers to do everything. So it's vital.
And I know this platform is relatively new, but obviously the community services have been around for a while. And would you say there's been a shift at all in the number of people looking to volunteer in their communities in a pre and now during a pandemic world? Has there been a change? I mean, a lot of people can't really travel too far from their homes anymore. Has there been a shift towards focusing on home?
We think so, although the platform is still very new. Yeah, people have been more involved locally, looking for things to do locally and looking to learn more about their own community. So yeah, they can register and find out what's going on and offer their time.
And what kind of organizations are you already partnered up with if people are looking to get out there and give away some of their time?
We already have, well, the community services, they have several offers right now. We also have a Maison Interlude victim services. We have the Centre Moi J'apprends. And what the types of volunteers that they're looking for is very varied as well. Some are looking for directors to sit on their board of directors. Others are looking for volunteer drivers. Others are looking for support calls, people that are going to do support calls. So there's all kinds of ways to volunteering, and many ways you can volunteer right from home in a safe fashion, just using your telephone or a computer.
And what kind of age groups do you see? I mean, obviously some younger people are forced to go off and do some volunteers, which is fantastic for the mind and soul. But do you see a bit of a wider age range of the people who have been putting their time forward?
It's pretty varied. We have high school students, university and college students. We have full-time people working full-time, and we also have retirees. So it's broad range of people.
Grand, and obviously it's just started up. So if anyone watching is interested in looking for a few more volunteers in the community, or if someone thinks I've got a bit of free time on my hands, maybe I should start giving back, how can they get involved?
They just go online, find our website, which is volunteerspr.ca. So volunteers with an S, PR for Prescot-Russell.ca. And they just log on, create a profile, look what's up in terms of volunteer opportunities. We also have a Facebook page that they can follow and comment and join us.
Perfect. Well, best of luck with the ongoing use of this program and this platform. And hopefully you and I can catch up a little bit more with some of the volunteers as well who have been getting involved, and we can actually see what impact they're having on the local community.
And if you're interested in volunteering and you're feeling perhaps a little bit bolder, then you can sign up to be a volunteer firefighter here in Clarence-Rockland. They're actively seeking for some at the moment. And if you do, you would soon be benefiting from a new containerized training facility. The project is currently out for tender and will create a space for local firefighters to tackle fires in a controlled environment. One of the deciding factors for the council was the benefits it would bring in terms of training, as well as the fact that it will be self-sustainable, with the revenue generated by renting out the facility to firefighters in the surrounding region paying for the maintenance. At $127,000, it wasn't a small ticket item in last year's budget, but it was much lower than some of the councillors were expecting.
Que Monsieur Lalonde avait soulevé, and it was in regards to the cost, where originally it was brought forward to us at a $500,000 to $600,000. Now we see something that seems really low. So I just want to make sure that this isn't just put at a low point for us to say, yeah, let's move forward with this, but it actually has the full scope of what is needed for our firefighters, and that we won't have any surprises where we need additional funds for this project. So that's my only concern. I am fully on board with having this for our firefighters and for the training. It's as good as it for us as it is for the surrounding municipalities. And I think this is if you build it, they will come approach. And again, I wasn't of that mindset a couple months ago, but things change, and I think this is a very good project, especially if we can keep it at that price range.
Councillor, I'm happy you've come around, but to answer your question, it's as simple as this. We essentially, I can't speak to the plans last year, although you know they seemed all fine. What we've done this time around, we've copied a municipality that will remain nameless. So essentially, we were able to get their drawings, so we don't have to pay for the engineering work and all of that other stuff that needs to happen. And we're going to have this thing fabricated and meet the same standards and the same conditions without the overhead.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Monsieur Grimard.
I don't know if that municipality starts with the letter C, but it is for Clarence-Rockland. I was really, really reluctant because we had Ottawa close by. And I can confirm that even for us, training at the firefighter is now a no-go. They just decided to stop and they can do it. It's their property. So that really flipped me. And also with Mr. Cardarelli and Mr. Lalonde, the amount really changed. And you know, we spoke a bit, which Chef was in, and they really did their homework to save a lot of money. So I think it's a great investment. And like Sam said, if you build it, they will come. I think we're going to see a huge increase in participation because of the live fire. It is the most important, but also the most realistic training. And firefighters want the real training. So I'm fully on board with the project, and great job on reducing the amount to that.
Monsieur Bouchard. Monsieur Levert après. Monsieur Bouchard.
Yeah, I clearly was one of those people who wasn't on board, and especially to say, well, you know, this is clearly something we could put off to next year, and you never know, down the stretch, it may come down to that as well. But you clearly sold me on it. The only information that I don't have and that I did not appreciate in the report was when there's the section on capital budget, what will the impact be on operations? It's not free to be lighting these fires and to be contaminating and whatnot. There is a cost to every time we're going to be using this. And there's no numbers at all to tell me this is how much it's going to cost. We do 10 trainings a year. Each training is going to cost this. And I know you're going to tell me, yeah, well, we'll recoup. Well, you'll recoup from other people coming in, I'm sure. But I mean, I would like to have some numbers. I would have appreciated to have some numbers to go along to support that project. Because I think the idea, and you're selling it really well. But numbers still need to be there as well. And last thing is Collège La Cité. They have the firefighting program. Those are people that you can definitely have an agreement with, especially, you know, from a francophone base. And we have people on their advisory committee. I'm pretty sure Mr. Villeneuve sits on that advisory committee. Have they reached out to Collège La Cité for training as well?
So thank you for those questions. First of all, the reason those numbers aren't in the report is because it's quite simple. There's zero impact. We already have a supply line for the supplies required for training. And what's neat in this approach is when you're using containers like this, you actually don't need a very high fuel load. So we only need a little bit of wood and some materials that we already budget for, and we'll be able to sustain that way. Any additional stuff that we need for the RTC will be paid for through the budget and registration of all the people attending the course. So it's actually not going to be onerous for us budget-wise. With regards to La Cité, that's an excellent point, and one that we've actually thought about, because this position that the fire marshal has taken with regards to requiring the live fire component to our courses applies to everybody. And we think that what's been happening is they haven't been enforcing it that well, and now they have started to do that. So obviously, La Cité will be looking for a place to conduct their live fire their live fire training, or at least that component to the course. And as you said, Mr. Bouchard, we will be open for business.
So that's it for this edition of TVC News. If you want to hear a little more from these interviews or any of the interviews in our previous programs, you can watch most of them in a longer format on our YouTube channel. Just head to YouTube and look for TVC 22. We're also actively looking for volunteers and civilian journalists. Like I said earlier, volunteers make the community run well. It's the heart of it, as Miss LaRue said. So if you're interested in taking up a hobby locally, get in touch with us, as we would love to have you. And if you have a news story, then get in touch. You can reach me by email at nouvelle with an S at the end at tvc22.ca, or by phone at 613-446-6037, extension number 4, or of course, find us on any of our social media channels. Have a lovely weekend, Clarence-Rockland. Stay home, stay safe, and I'll catch you next week. Goodbye.